What's going on, guys? Chip here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video, where today we're going to be talking about a brand new card that just got revealed, and that is going to be the Umbreon VMAX. I know, a fan favorite evolution here. Before we talk about the actual card itself, let's just say this artwork is pretty dope. If you're a fan of Umbreon, I'm sure you're going to love getting your hands on this card. And yeah, I'm going to talk about kind of this card, if I think it's going to be good or not, what things I think it will work with, and kind of compare it to some stuff from the past. And we'll talk about how it could fit into the competitive Pokemon TCG as it stands. If you guys are new here and want to find your way back, be sure to click the subscribe button. Helps me out a ton. And be sure to smack that like button if you guys enjoy these Pokemon TCG videos. It really does help me out a lot. Helps me a lot in the YouTube algorithm. It's something very, very small from you that helps me out more than you could really ever know. So let's go ahead and talk about the Umbreon VMAX. I guess before we do, we've got to give a quick shout out to Tuan Lei. Of course, Tuan is who I use for basically all of my translations. They live over in Japan. They translate all the cards over on Twitter basically as soon as they come out. Great person to follow if you are interested in learning about the new Pokemon cards as they get announced in Japan. I would definitely recommend following Tuan over on Twitter. Link to their Twitter will be in the description of the video. So this actually got announced a couple of days ago now, the Umbreon V. I didn't talk about it initially because we knew that the VMAX was most likely coming, so I wanted to kind of combine them all into one single video. So let's go ahead and talk about it here. We got Umbreon V, which is a single strike Pokemon. Definitely key to note. It can combine super well with things like Houndoom, single strike energy to boost your damage output. Lots of potential there. We've got Mean Look here, 30 damage for 1 dark. The defending Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. And then Moonlight Blade for a dark, colorless, 80 plus. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 80 more damage. So nothing incredible here. Obviously, this can synergize well with the Houndoom single strike, allowing you to accelerate the energies from the deck, put the damage counters here on the Umbreon, so that way you can do the extra damage with Moonlight Blade. It actually boosts all the way up to 180, since single strike energy does boost the damage output of single strike Pokemon by 20. So that is an option, but to be honest, this is not amazing. It's just kind of like an okay card, and that's kind of how I felt about it when I first read it. I was like, it's going to totally depend on what the VMAX does. So let's go ahead and take a look at the VMAX. Speaking of which, we've got Umbreon VMAX here, still a single strike Pokemon with the ability Dark Signal. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon with their active Pokemon. And I think obviously a lot of people are pretty excited about this ability. It's something that's been solid in the Pokemon trading card game in the past, so I think this is something people are excited about. Obviously, Boss's Orders being a big part of the format, this gives you an option to play something like a Professor's Research, draw card for your turn in order to, find energy cards, just draw through more of your deck, find your evolutions and stuff like that, and then still get a strong gusting effect with the Dark Signal. And the attack here is just Max Arc for a dark and 2 colorless, just a plain 160. Really nothing incredible here, to be honest, as far as the attack goes. 160 damage will allow you to knock out things like the Dene GX. Of course, if you have a single strike energy, you can knock out Crobat Vs. If you have a couple of single strike energies, like if you could get 3 single strike energies on this thing, you're hitting for 220, which will knock out most Vs before they VMAX, which is not too terrible, but that's kind of a lot to ask, if you ask me, getting 3 single strike energies on this Pokemon all at once. I think where this Pokemon is really going to shine is going to be in this ability, Dark Signal. And we also do need to talk about the Moon and Sun badge, the Pokemon tool. Whenever your opponent plays a supporter card from their hands, prevent all effects of that card done to the Pokemon this card is attached to if it has Espeon V or Umbreon V in its name. So I don't think this tool is incredible. There were tools announced for all of the EV VMAXs. I'll be doing videos on pretty much all of the EV VMAXs if that's something you guys are interested in. So we'll talk about some more of those tools in the future. This tool, not super good, to be honest. It can be nice to, keep your Umbreon on the bench so it doesn't get gusted up by a Boss's Orders, but that's not really something I think you should ever be that worried about, to be honest. So overall, I don't think this is a card that would ever really be played or have much use with an Umbreon VMAX or in an Umbreon VMAX deck. So I think a lot of people are excited about this card. They think it's going to be super solid. So I wanted to quickly compare it to some similar cards from the past. I went through and I think I found all of the original versions of this type of effect where you have an ability that gusts up something from your opponent's bench whenever it evolves. So we've got the original here, which is Umbreon EX. Once during your turn, before you attack, when you play Umbreon EX from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, switch switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon with one of the defending Pokemon, and super solid, obviously. This was an okay card back whenever it was originally out. It wasn't, like, amazing, but there were a few different decks that did utilize it, so it was a solid option, but nothing absolutely incredible. Then we got Luxray GL Level X, probably one of the stronger versions of this card with the Pokepower Bright Look. Once during your turn before you attack, when you put Luxray GL Level X on your hand onto your active Luxray GL, you may switch the defending Pokemon with one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This card was super good back then because of all the synergy it had with all the other SP cards. Of course, you know, Power Spray, Energy Gain, Poke Turn, all this type of stuff, of course, comboed super well with Garchomp Level X, also comboed super well with Infernape at different times, so definitely a card that saw a lot of play and was one of the best cards at its time. We've got Ninetales here, also with the Bright Look ability, same effect, of course, and this card really wasn't that great. It was played in a couple of decks. It had its own deck, a kind of a Ninetales with a Moongus, but it was never like a tier 1 archetype or anything like that. This was always kind of just an interesting card that existed, but nothing I think that was ever that incredible. It could hit a lot of damage for just one energy, of course, but it was a huge combo deck. This never really saw much play just because its attack, you know, it couldn't really be an attacking option for this, you know, for anything. And it was just basically like, do I commit space to my deck just for the Gust effect? And Pokemon Catcher was in the format at the time, and then eventually Lysander came out into the format, so it's just ultimately something that people kind of strayed away from. And then we've got Lycanroc GX, the most recent example, and I think what most people will be comparing this card to, with that Bloodthirsty Eyes ability, letting you bring up a Pokemon from your opponent's bench to the active. And I think the big difference here between Umbreon VMAX and Lycanroc GX is this, Dangerous Rogue GX. This is really what made Lycanroc good. Yes, Bloodthirsty Eyes was incredibly powerful, and it gave you a lot of options, but I don't know that it would have been quite as played of a card if Dangerous Rogue GX was not printed on it, allowing you to just have a one-shot potential, being able to pick up a one-hit KO potentially on something on your opponent's side of the field was incredibly strong. And I think still would be incredibly strong if that was an option put onto Umbreon VMAX. So I think that definitely takes Umbreon VMAX down a peg compared to Lycanroc. I think if we're ranking like these 5 specific cards, we've got Lycanroc, Ninetales, Luxray, Umbreon EX, and then Umbreon VMAX here. I think Lycanroc GX is definitely the strongest one. Maybe Luxray GL Level X. It would probably be some, like these are probably 1 and 2, could go either way. Both were extremely strong in their prime, of course. And then after that, I think it would be close between these two and then Ninetales being last. So I'm really not super sure that this is going to be incredible. I think one of the main things people are thinking about when it comes to Umbreon VMAX is being able to play it as an option in Eternatus VMAX. And I definitely think playing it in Eternatus VMAX is going to be a solid option. You know, it gives you that Gust effect if you're still wanting to dig for, you know, play a research for turn, if you still need something like more Pokemon in play, if you need energy to be able to attack. I definitely feel like this is going to be like a 1-1 to a 2-2 line in most Eternatus VMAX decks. Now, I think the problem with Eternatus VMAX is some of the other cards potentially coming out in the future. That Avery supporter that forces your opponent to discard down to 3 bench. I think if people start teching that in their lists for Eternatus, it's going to be tough for Eternatus. Obviously, also Urshifu VMAX, pretty popular deck, tough matchup for sure. But overall, Eternatus is still extremely, extremely strong. And honestly, Umbreon VMAX gives it a pretty solid boost, giving you that gusting option and then still being able to potentially draw some cards. But let me know what you guys are thinking about the Umbreon VMAX down in the comments down below. Would love to hear from you guys. Do you think it's going to be good? Could it be good as its own archetype, like Umbreon VMAX with some Houndooms and maybe like Tyranitar, Single Strike, some other stuff like that? Or is it going to make most sense in something like Eternatus VMAX? This is kind of what I am leading towards, if you ask me. But there you go, guys. That is the video here on Umbreon VMAX. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Like I said, please be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, as always, and be sure to drop Twan a follow over on Twitter, as well as myself if you feel so inclined. Definitely be sure to stop by the Twitch channel if you guys have not yet, twitch.tv/trainerchip. Link to all my socials and stuff is in the description of the video. Really appreciate the support, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's going to do it for me. I'm going to get out of here, guys, and until next time, take care.